Hey there, welcome to Be Unmessable with the podcast. I'm your host, Josselyne Herman-Saccio, and I'm so excited to have a very old friend of mine on the show today. Her name is Lara Riggio. She's a professional energy trainer who helps people overcome both physical and emotional limitations. Her approach to energy work is realistic, but it's also results oriented, which I love. She's helped tens of thousands of people alleviate stress, anxiety, insomnia, muscle and joint pain, fatigue, and the limiting emotional patterns and beliefs that can sabotage relationships and career success in her sessions, classes, and online videos. She's been featured in all sorts of news outlets, and she is just a delightful human being who I've known for probably 25 to 30 years, I think. I'm so happy she said yes to being on the show. So let's welcome Lara.
Well, thanks for having me. We were just talking for a second before we started on like how long we've known each other. It's like unbelievable. It
It
really
it
is
really is.
unbelievable.
It's a lifetime, at least my daughter's lifetime, and your child's lifetime. So it's amazing though, because I look at you and you look exactly the same
Oh, God
as,
bless you.
25 years ago. I know it's like either my eyes are going, but people look the same to me. I don't know.
But you too. I have to say, I remember you standing up on the stage, teaching all of us all this amazing stuff. And I mean, that was 30 years ago, and you look bright and wonderful as ever. So,
Well, it's all about if you're living your dream, right? So, as we were talking about that, I am living my dream here in Paris and you're living your dream in Ridgewood.
yep. I did not expect to be. I really never thought I'd want to live in the suburbs. And after COVID and being in the city, and it just the crowdedness and the noise got to be too much, and I just decided I wanted something different. Wasn't sure what I wanted, so I literally was looking through magazines to find images of what I wanted, made a vision board, and then it actually came true.
Amazing.
Unbelievable. So
That's
pretty
so
cool.
cool. It is really cool. So tell people, because I mean, you and I haven't spoken in a long time actually, but I follow your newsletters and I know what you're up to. And our mutual friend Terry obviously keeps me abreast of everything. But tell us how you ended up doing what you're doing, because when I first met you, you were really just starting doing all the energy work. And I remember you helped me with my frozen shoulder. This is like literally 25 years ago. It's like ridiculous, but yes. And
Yeah, I
I
mean,
still have shoulder stuff, but not the frozen shoulder.
yeah. Well, I mean, at that time, I was doing a lot of corrective exercise, and I was actually traveling to learn a technique that I practiced on you called muscle activation. And in the process of that traveling, it was a very stressful year. I was traveling to learn that technique. I was training trainers all over the country for the club I worked for, and then my mother got sick, and
Mm.
so I was traveling literally 4 weekends out of the month, and then working crazy hours at the club, and wound up getting chronic fatigue. And as my mother was recovering from what she was going through, I was actually getting sick.
Wow.
And the thing that ultimately, after a good year of trying Western medicine and a lot of different doctors, I mean, I think I spent tens of thousands of dollars in New York City on doctors. A friend of mine who I learned that other technique with handed me this book, Energy Medicine, literally found me a practitioner and says, I think you should go try this. If that wasn't a message from the universe, I don't know what was. I did. And in the first session, I was like, wow, I really feel different. After going for a month, once a week, and doing my exercises on my own, I bounded up 4 flights of stairs to see this practitioner without a beat. When the first session, I walked up and had to literally wait 2 or 3 minutes before I could go up the next flight. So I
Wow.
saw this amazing difference in my own well being, and I was like, I just have to learn this. Started doing it with my clients, and was helping people with MS. I was trying to do exercises with this woman with MS that she just could not do. Wound up doing some energy work, and then all of a sudden everything started clicking. And our energy system really is what fuels, all of our physiology, but also our emotional life. And that's the really cool thing about it, is that it affects both your physical and emotional well-being, which then, of course, after dealing with the physical, getting healthy myself, I started using it to help me with anxiety and sleeping and all kinds of things. So,
That's amazing. So you've been doing this now for decades. I mean, it sounds like, really. I know I keep harping on how old we are, but it. It's like it also has the pro side of, having experience and wisdom. So we will harp on that. Um, but when you work with your clients, what do you find is like the biggest thing that is the block for them to be able to open up their energy system?
Well, it usually is emotional. And that's the thing. Even when people come to me for physical issues, I am always looking to see what the body's energetics are telling me they need. And so, for example, I just was with a client this morning, and he was having tension up in his neck, and I found that it was triple warmer and small intestine meridians were off balance. Triple warmer is your fight, flight, or freeze initiator, and small intestine is really about clarity and feeling decisive. Well, he had a meeting. He wasn't sure how he was gonna introduce everyone at the meeting, and the goal of the meeting. We wound up balancing those two meridians, and he's like, oh my gosh, I have this idea, I want to write it down. Problem solved. And so, and tension, shoulder tension gone, completely alleviated. So often issues are caused from some emotional driver. And what's interesting though is I think a lot of times we don't really know what those emotional themes could be. We're
Hmm.
going so fast in our lives, we're connected. Got to get back to email, got to get back to social media, got to get back to, my kids need X, Y, or Z, my husband needs X, Y, or Z. And, there's not a lot of time to go inward and think about what we want and what we need. Our body, though, will let us know, oh my gosh, with the pain or insomnia or anxiety, that, hey, we got to stop and look at how we're not possibly living in a way that's aligned with our heart and what we want. And so, my clients come, I figure out what energy systems are off, and then we delve into, okay, well, what is your body really trying to tell you that you need? And so through the physical and through, interpreting what these meridians or chakras are telling us they need thematically, I then ask questions about what they want, because it's hard to know what you want when you're stressed. You're just kind of reacting to your stress. And when you're able to release that and then talk about whatever the situation is, then you can find a way forward that makes sense and then align your actions to your desires.
It's so similar to the work that I do, but not in a physical way. I work with people on how to shift from the world of reaction, which is all that survival, fight, flight, freeze, getting through life, getting stuff done, getting to the next thing. Shift from there to the world of creation and vision, and have your actions be given by your vision versus driven by that whole other world of reaction. So it's not a mistake we're having this conversation. But how do you start with people? So they come in, do you do something physical like a test, or how do you actually, is it invasive? Like,
Yeah, in fact, well, most of my clients now are online. And that a lot of that came from COVID, but I had clients moving to Europe even pre-COVID, and I found that I could muscle test instead of muscle testing them live, I would muscle test my body, and test specific points. And I would normally test on them live and use their arm to test. Now I test my own body, and I'm able to again assess the same way and just again figure out what their body is trying to tell me and tell them. Once we figure that out, we will tap on specific points that relate to either meridians or chakras. I always rate their stress level before and after. And the stress generally goes from, I taught a class the other night and somebody was saying, oh my gosh, I was a level 8 stress and now I'm down to a 2. Generally
amazing.
that's the effectiveness of the work. And then you can really get at, well, what do you really want in this situation? So, yeah, it's really great. So, and then I often give my clients exercises to do on their own, so that if and when a similar situation comes up, say somebody's in the middle of a divorce and they have to go to the meeting with their ex and their lawyers, they can tap all the way through each day. Every time the anxiety comes up about it, by the time 3 or 4 days later they are ready to go to that meeting, they're not anxious or nervous about going.
That's so great. I love it because one of the methodologies I use with people is creating a hack for when you see that you're in that world of reaction. How do you hack it and get to neutral and then get to the world of vision? And it sounds like the work that you do could really be a useful hack for people,
Yeah.
like whether it's the tapping or any other methods that you use that gets you out of that brain space.
Yep. Yep. Do you want me to show you one right now?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Are you going to test me? Oh, come
I
on.
mean,
I'm ready.
I could,
Uh,
but I also can have, since everybody listening to this has probably got some stress or some kind, We can all just think for a second, and you think yourself of like some stressor right now in your life, something that's on your mind, something that brings up anxiety when you think about it. I want everybody else out there to think about it too. And we're just going to work with your energy system for a second and just rub your temples. So rub your temples. And
I'm taking
often,
off
like,
my glasses. Okay,
yeah,
here we
I
go.
had to do that too. You can just rub your temples and think about the stress and where you feel it in your body. Kind of rate the intensity of it. And then take a deep breath in for 4 counts. Breathe in through your nose. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Exhale the air out. 2, 3, and 4. Deep breath in. 2, 3, and 4. Exhale the air out. 2, 3, and 4. Now you're just going to do that same circular massage. You're going to rub over your ears. Okay. And then you're just going to rub behind your ears. Okay. Then you're going to go down the back of your neck, just like so. And off your shoulders, just like so. Then you're going to just take one hand on your chest here, the other one underneath your belly button. Flip your hands across just like so, just so we're opening the energy. And then rest your fingers below your belly button and then at your chest. And in this position, you're just going to count 1 to 10, 10 to 1. I'm going to do it for you. Just kind of count with me in your head. And I learned the counting from a guy by the name of Matt Kahn, but we're holding points along your central meridian now. The exercise we did prior was to sedate your triple warmer meridian, that fight, flight, or freeze initiator. So we calmed a sympathetic nervous system response. You can also just rub your temples and breathe, and you'll do the same thing. You don't necessarily have to go all the way over the ear and down the neck. So if all you remember is to rub your temples, that works too. And then holding these points, your central meridian is the meridian that helps you center yourself in your power and ground yourself. So as you hold these points, we're going to count and get present. Macan says that when you are just present in the moment to the number you are saying, it helps to alleviate anxiety pretty immediately, because anxiety lives in the future and in the past. We're generally ruminating on something that happened in the past or worrying about something in the future. And if we can truly get present to where we are right now, so much more is possible. Because now you can have an opportunity or a possibility that you didn't even know existed because you were already expecting something. When there's an expectation, there's no room for anything new. So let's make some room for something new and just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And just think you're centering yourself in the power and the possibilities of the present moment and all that could happen from here. And then you just think about, well, how might I feel if things worked out in the most ideal way possible? And whatever feeling pops into your head, see if you can then do something. It could be completely unrelated to what your issue is. If you can do something that helps you feel that feeling, like even maybe just listen to your favorite song that elicits that feeling for 3 minutes. That energy attracts like energy, and then you're using the law of attraction to create your next moment and your next moment that's now aligned with what you really desire. So now, just whatever you were thinking before that was stressful, re-tap into it and just see, how does that feel now?
Can't even remember what I was thinking. I mean, I kind of do, but it's very vague.
Yeah. So, I mean, these
Yeah.
exercises just immediately can alleviate the stress. And from there, again, so much is possible. And this concept that anxiety really is about the future, the past, like there's so much more possibility in our present moment than we even allow ourselves to entertain. It just gives you a
Yeah.
reason to be more present.
I love it. I love it. I think it's awesome. I'm so happy to have you here. It's great. And then let me ask you the question that I ask everybody that's on the show, which is, can you recall in your life, and, given given you're a successful human being, you likely have more than one recollections of this, but a situation in your life that was really difficult, like a tough circumstance that you dealt with that could have taken you out of the game, down for the count, but didn't. You were able to transcend the circumstances and emerge what I call being unmessable with.
Yeah, well, I mean, probably one of the most stressful experience I think I've ever had in my life happened during COVID. I had just had my son; he was 6 months old, and my husband got COVID, gave it to my son. I
Mm,
was, it was a miracle I didn't get it. I was neti flushing like crazy, which I think just helped flush it out. And I was taking L-lysine, and I didn't get it, thank God. But my son did, and at the time, we didn't have tests, so I didn't know that he had it. A month later, he winds up having infantile spasms, which are seizures for infants. And you just don't know what's going to happen. So here we are in the middle of COVID. I have to go to the hospital by myself because no one's allowed to come with you. I am 6 months, new mom.
Postpartum, yeah.
Yeah, after having a C-section, so I'm still not even feeling physically tip top. And I'm at the hospital with him dealing with all of this. And thank God for energy work, honestly, because after that, even getting home and dealing with it, and his developmental delay, his developmental, he had developmental delays
Progress.
after that. His progress was halted for about a good 6 to 9 months. So even going through that, trying to get him all the support that we could, but also just dealing with the stress of it myself, and that was when I really knew that being a mom and being a good mom meant I had to take care of myself, and
Yeah.
a lot of times first. Because if I didn't do my energy exercises, if I was reactive, I wasn't going to be able to make the best decisions for him and to care for him in a way that I really wanted to. And so that was the big lesson from that whole experience. And of course, now we're through it. And the thing that it taught me was that, yeah, I mean, doesn't really matter what anybody out there is saying, and even if they're doctors, I am going to tap into my mama wisdom and really think about what my child needs, and then advocate for it. And it's
Yeah.
interesting. I was going to say fight, but I'm not fighting anymore. I'm just,
No. I would use the word standing for.
yes.
You just need to stand for what you see and what you know is possible and what you're creating, because nobody else is going to stand for what you're creating. People, I mean, you might be able to get them on board at some point, but ultimately a creation is from nothing. So there's not a lot of people already standing for it. So if you don't have the wherewithal to be unmessable with in the face of any circumstance that life comes at you, whether people agree, they disagree, whatever, but your vision and stand for that, it's never going to get fulfilled.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's funny because, at the time, I had therapists come in, and they would, you know, I remember somebody coming in and saying, "Well, do you think he'll do this? Do you think he'll do that?" I'm like, "Of course he's going to do that. You're just having a little bit of a delay here." And
Yeah.
that was always my vision for it. And I just started to learn that anybody that's not really aligned with that vision is not going to be part of my team either.
Yeah. Well, for those of you listening that you might not have children, but you have a business team, that's something to think about. If people aren't in at least aligned upon vision, you don't have to have the same exact vision, but your vision isn't aligned. Like I know that when I coach entrepreneurs, a lot of times they're not even clear what their team's vision is. They just give them the vision of the company and say, okay, let's go, as if they're going to adopt it automatically. And that's not necessarily the case. And that produces a lot of burnout in teams. And so, if you can at least get in communication with the people on your team, like the caregivers or the people on your business team, and find out what they really want, what is their vision? And is it a good match? Is this a place where you can see yourself fulfilling on your personal vision? And if not, then let me help you find another job, okay? Because this is not the right one for you. And it's not wrong or bad, and they're not bad people. It's just a different game. Some people like football, some people like rugby.
Yeah, and I think the flip side, because I work with this way with clients too. If you're in a job and you're not feeling as though the company's vision or even your direct report's vision is yours for your own career, that's also something to take a look at.
Yeah. And, through conversations, you can get people aligned upon your vision, but most people don't even talk about their vision. I mean, that's the thing. Like going back to what you said in the beginning, they don't even know what they want because they have so many blockages. But even if they know what they want, people are hesitant to share it. And, what I always say to people is sharing is the most important part because people cannot show up to support you in fulfilling on your dreams and goals unless you talk about them and say what you're up to. I mean, from anything, whether it's being a parent or starting a company or growing your business or whatever difference you want to make in the world, you got to vocalize it. People are not mind readers. And your direct report is not a mind reader. They don't know what your vision is.
No, no. So it's so important, and just to figure out what you want. And I think in every situation, especially, I always say upsets or access, and I think that I try to help people see those moments that they've attracted where there's some stress is probably an opportunity, because these are the moments when we actually often have to stop because, like I said earlier, our body breaks down,
Yeah.
or something makes us pause. It's usually something upsetting, because a lot of times we don't change anything unless there's some sort of discomfort, right?
Until you hit bottom, that's when
Yep,
addicts give up their addiction. And we
yep,
are all addicts in some way.
yeah, it's true. We all are addicts in some way. So this, any upset makes you stop and look, and then you can look for, well, gee, if you can really take the time, calm yourself down, soothe yourself with either creating a vision or my exercises, and then really tap into your heart and see what you want. I mean, gosh, like I said, so much is possible from that place that a lot of times we don't expect.
Yeah. Yeah, those are the miracles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Beautiful. So tell us what you want to offer everybody who's listening. I know you have some juicy goodies.
Well, the process that I took you through part of is called my Slack process, and I have a tapping video that goes with it, and just a series of questions. And whenever you're upset, I highly recommend stopping and giving yourself slack. You stop, give yourself the space to just see what happened, look at what happened, and like list the facts without emotions. Acknowledge what you're feeling, like literally name the emotions, so that you can get present to, again, the upset that could create the access. Then you care for your emotions, by doing something. It could be my exercises, it could be taking a bath, listening to a song, like something that calms you down. Then get kinesthetic, because if you can figure out how you want to feel and then do something that helps you feel that same feeling, man, when you're in a place of, let's say, just feeling confident, or you're in a place of feeling hopeful, from that place of confidence or hope, everything's easier. And
Mm,
like energy attracts like energy. You get into a confident place, you're going to attract something more that helps you feel more confident. And that's really how the law of attraction works.
I love it. I love it. I'm so happy that you said yes and that we spent this time together. And I'll have you back. And anytime you're creating something new, I want to be one of your first stops.
Oh, you're so sweet. And it was so great to see you and hear about everything you're doing. And I just love, love, love hearing and seeing about all of your adventures in Paris, because I'm such a foodie. And my doctor
Oh my
showed me
God.
the croissant.
It's,
Oh,
I've given up losing weight. I was like, you know what? I'm real happy. I'm good. This is not worth my stress, The bread is too good. All
well,
right.
it
So
looks good on you. It looks good on you.
I feel good. I feel good. But for those of you listening, the croissants here, I found a new croissant place, a new bakery in Paris. You can find it on my Instagram. It's called Moon Croissant, and it is like beyond, you can't describe it. It's not like a normal croissant. It's like a work of art.
Wow.
So I'll put a link to that in the show notes too, and I'll put a link to the Slack process and to your website so that people can find you and work with you, and be able to get all things Lara. And thanks everybody for listening or watching, depending on how you get this podcast. And if you heard something that made a difference for you, then please share it. Share this episode with people in your life that you think it would make a difference for. And of course, rate and review it if you see fit, but definitely share it, most importantly. And we'll see you on the next episode of Be Unmessable with, the podcast. Thank you again for joining us in this episode of Be Unmessable with, the podcast. And every time you join us, I want to make sure that you leave with real value. And I want to offer you a free workshop with my colleague, Liana Nielsen, who's a certified nutritionist. And we did a workshop on how to be unmessable with your well-being. So if you ever deal with being messable with your well-being, which most people do, sometimes that's the first thing to go in terms of your practices and your disciplines. This is an opportunity for you to get recharged and rejuvenated and revivified in the world of well-being. So click below and get instant access to this free workshop.